To get the full scope of the impact of today's ruling, we want to turn now to talking about how this might affect people of color. Joining us to talk more about that this afternoon is Danielle Phillips-Cunningham. She's the chair of the Multicultural Women and Gender Studies Department at Texas Woman's University and has spoken nationally on this topic. Danielle, thank you for being with us this afternoon. And just to start off, I'd just like to get your top line thoughts on that. How will this affect communities of color?
Yes, thank you for having me. This will disproportionately impact women of color, especially if we're looking within a state like Texas that has one of the highest maternal mortality rates among women of color in the country. And so the majority of women who are disproportionately impacted by pregnancy, health-related issues are Black and Latino women. So this will disproportionately impact them.
Let's talk a little bit, if we can, Danielle, about the opportunity, the ability to travel, because that has been discussed a lot today. The ability to go to another place to find abortion providers. That is another place in which Texas is kind of unique. This is a really big state. It takes a long time, especially if you're going by car, to get to another state. And now we're seeing that the states around Texas, they also had trigger laws that go into place, just like Texas has. And so we're seeing abortions become illegal all around Texas, except when you look out to, let's say, New Mexico or Colorado. That could still be an option for some women, but it's going to be a real struggle for many women as well.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. So when we look at, for example, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, the leaders of those states have made it perfectly clear where they stand on abortion and restricting and outlawing abortion rights. So we have New Mexico, as you mentioned, that does not plan on doing that. However, there will be an incredible strain on the abortion clinics in that state because many women from Texas is a huge state, so lots of women will probably try to seek safe abortions there in New Mexico, as well as women from Oklahoma and from Louisiana. So what we're going to see is that there are going to be really long waiting lists for women who are seeking abortions. And that's going to put an incredible strain and burden on those clinics over there. And also in terms of getting back to earlier, how this will impact women of color, on average, women of color make less than other groups of women. And they typically don't work in jobs that allow them the flexibility to take time off. So even if women in Texas, women of color, were to travel to a farther state such as New York, for example, or Illinois, that's going to be also very difficult because many of the jobs that women of color work and are concentrated in don't give that room to take that much time off.
Just like other communities in this country, obviously, women of color, there are probably plenty of those across the country who feel great about the decision today and totally support it. I would imagine that you hear from women of color who are on the other end of the spectrum from that. And I would just like to ask you, what have you been hearing from individual women after this decision came down this morning? If you could just sort of typify the emotions.
Yeah, the majority of the women who I have heard from, and as well as in, women who have been polled in national studies, support Roe v. Wade. And so the people who do not support Roe v. Wade are in the minority in this country. As studies have shown, over 60% of Americans support Roe v. Wade. So the majority of women, as well as people, and men also support. There are a lot of men who support Roe v. Wade. So people are saddened, heartbroken, are also angry that now women don't have control over their own bodies. So there's a mixture of emotions. Personally, for someone who is 40 years old, like myself, I just never imagined living in a post Roe v. world, or Roe v. Wade world, where this would be taken away from women and where we would become second-class citizens, where we wouldn't have control over our own bodies. And also what's concerning is that this is just the tip of the iceberg, that there is more to come in terms of restricting women's access to contraceptives, for example, limiting women's health care services. So that's also what's concerning right now.
Yeah, as you say, after so many years of fierce debate on this topic, it feels like the conversation has just gotten started anew here. And we want to thank you for joining this conversation with us here this afternoon. Danielle Phillips-Cunningham, the chair of Multicultural Women and Gender Studies at the Department at the Texas Woman's University. Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon.
Thank you.